Alright, hello and welcome to another quick question. So, let's just jump right into it this time with, what is your favorite Warframe? My favorite Warframe currently is Mesa. It was previously Valkyr, but I kind of burned out on Valkyr during the Saren Prime farm not that long ago. And Mesa became my favorite after her rework made her 4 effective and also still fun. So, that's basically how that went. Mesa is super stylish, and I love how she looks, and there's not much more to be said. Her powers are really fun, and all that stuff. So, let's move on. Alright, the second question that I've been getting quite a bit is what to do after quests, and that can be... It's a hard question to answer, because what you do after quests is not simple as it stands right now. Right now, quests are kind of the thing that everyone should pretty much be doing, because it's like a huge thing to go and do. Beyond that, the end game of Warframe is super vague, kind of on purpose right now. So, the kind of options you have for what you're going to do after you're done with all your quests and stuff is you can do fashion stuff, which I like to do quite a bit of, doing like all your animations, making all your Warframes look real nice, all that stuff. Alternatively, you can collect things, which I also do, which you're going on the mission to get all the things, which it will keep you busy for a real long-ass time, I'll tell you that. And then, finally, the kind of trader type thing, which is just make a bunch of platinum, which is the route for those of you who know who Gammon is, who's frequently with me on stream. He goes down that road. He has, like, 20,000 platinum right now. So, there's lots of directions, and you kind of just need to choose what branch you like more. And a side one that kind of goes into all of these things is doing raids. Raids are useful for trading people, because you can make a lot of platinum from raids. Fashion, because you get a couple emblems here and there. And then collecting things. If you're going to collect things, you might as well also collect arcanes. So, the mysterious endgame of Warframe is not an exact science, but just find what you like to do. And there is, of course, always the option of helping newer players, which I would always suggest. Alright, for questions 3 and 4, how do I join your clan, and when will I expand my clan? So, how to join, basically if you're on the Discord, under the announcements section, there is a thing to fill out to kind of get in line for it, because my clan is relatively small right now, and we have to move people through it as people aren't playing a lot, because as you can see, people in the clan are on very frequently, and we have like requirements around that, which is not normal to a lot of other clans. As for when I'm going to expand the clan, we're going to wait and look and see the Kingpin system before we decide if we're going to go up to 100 members. I suspect that whenever the Kingpin stuff launches, it will be very beneficial to have slightly more members, so we'll probably expand to 100 whenever that stuff launches, but as for right now, we're just going to stick to 30, because that just makes sense for us right now. Alright, moving on to question number 5, which is what the fuck is the deal with nightmare missions? How do I do those? What's going on? What are the rules? So, I've talked about nightmare missions a lot recently, and I never really explained this stuff. So basically, if we go to a planet where you've completed every single node, every 8 hours you'll have a random node here that will be a nightmare mission. This nightmare mission will just refresh every 8 hours, and you get 1 per planet. The other thing, though, about nightmare is if you go to Earth, and you're going to do the Nightmare version of the Law of Retribution, if you're doing raids, you're going to get 3 Nightmare mods every time you complete the Nightmare Law of Retribution. So, that is another way to get Nightmare mods if you're into doing the raids, if you're to the point where you're comfortable doing the Law of Retribution Nightmare mode. So, that's what's up with this. Basically, they'll just show up anywhere you completed all of the nodes, and you can get all of your Nightmare mods. Also, beyond that, there are different kind of sections for where certain mods are. There's the low, mid, and high tier nightmare missions as they were, and they have slightly different drops, so I'll just mark those now, like what planets are what. That'll be on screen, so you have a nice little guide for that stuff. And speaking of raids, basically, I've had a lot of questions, which is, what do I need to actually do raids? I have a relatively recent stream highlight that goes through a lot of the builds that are applicable for that. I'm going to be refreshing that video relatively soon, but until I do, that video is still hugely good for that. So down in the description, I've got a link to my stream highlight where I go over a lot of really viable raid builds, and they're pretty much all still relevant now. So I would suggest checking that out if you want to get raid ready for the Law of Retribution. Jorda's Verdict is a lot more malleable in what you can bring to it, but I'll leave it at basically you want to have some Necros, and Naros is great for it, and just murder frames like Equinox. Moving on to question number 7. What is the best single sword stance? So, it's worth noting that this does not include Nikhanas. This is only for single swords, like the Broken War. So, the best stance is Crimson Dervish. Plain and simple. It is a phenomenal stance that is going to be really, really hard to beat. Essentially, what goes on here is that during the first 3 button presses of any of your combo, you have 200% bonus damage, and while this stance does slow you down a tiny bit, it is not enough for that to decrease your DPS. In fact, it increases it, and beyond that, at the end of Coiling Impale, you get a finisher. So, just by holding block during your combos, you're going to be doing finishers to enemies for massive damage. Also, along with that, if you really need it, Twisting Flurry has a blast proc at the end of it, which is really, really good. So basically, Crimson Dervish absolutely destroys. It is very, very powerful, and it is incredibly hard to beat. And then this is the Flurry, which looks really cool. Comparatively, whenever we look at Vengeful, which is, of course, much more difficult to get than Crimson Dervish in general, I find, Vengeful Revenant, while slightly faster, only has a 15% damage bonus on some of its strikes. A lot of its strikes are just vanilla. So, we'll show that. This is its most powerful combo, which is a pause, which is harder to pull off than anything that is in Crimson Dervish, and is generally less effective at higher attack speeds. And then the blocking combo has a 25% hit, or 25% bonus damage hit, and a 100% bonus damage hit, but still, so many hits with no bonus damage means that this is not coming anywhere near Crimson Dervish. And then finally, you have Drowning Despair, which is its hold forward combo, which has between 50% and 20% bonus damage on some of its strikes, which is, once again, not really enough to put it in competition. Along with that, this doesn't have any like large leaping distance closing moves or anything like that, so it doesn't really do much besides look fancy. And while I do like Vengeful Revenant, just utility and output wise, it's not going to beat Crimson Dervish in any real way. It is a lot of fun though, so I mean, if you get it, or if you want to farm for it, it is worth using just for funsies, because I mean, you can have a good time with this stance. It's very fancy. So yeah, that's the difference between the good single sword stances. And finally, as we're ending this off, I'm just going to lump the last 3 questions all together. What is my favorite show? What is my favorite movie? And what is my favorite anime? So, with this, basically, I don't watch a lot of shows and stuff, but if I had to choose some favorites, from what I've seen recently, I guess, Adventure Time and Regular Show have been really fun. I haven't watched all of them, but they're really good whenever I do see them. Favorite movie-wise, I've always really liked The Boondock Saints ever since I've seen it. That movie is fantastic.
Fucking what the fucking fuck? Who the fuck? Fuck this fucking. How did you do fucking fucks? Fuck!
Well, it certainly illustrates the diversity of the word.
Fantastic, and I could watch it a million times and probably not get sick of it, so I'd almost certainly say The Boondock Saints is my favorite, with maybe The Goonies as a runner-up. That movie is a childhood favorite of mine. And then for anime stuff, I've always really enjoyed Gurren Lagann. That was one of the first things I saw after I kind of got back into anime more recently, and it is a phenomenal show. I would kind of suggest to anybody if you like action at all. It's a really, really good show, and there's kind of that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I've watched. I watch a lot more anime more recently because it's just easier for me to watch a short series of things. And be able to put it on a higher speed sometimes and just read the subtitles. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I don't know. There's not a lot of movies and stuff that I watch anymore. I mean, I saw the most recent Star Wars film, and that was good. But in general, I don't watch a lot of things. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I'll see you tomorrow.